I'm Zane. Welcome to Passionate Beauty Tales. The sound hit me like a knife in my head. Metal on stone. A long, grinding scream that cut through the quiet of Oak Haven Estates and shook the coffee mug in my hand. I looked at the clock on the stove. 7:05 a.m. Saturday. Of course, the noise came from the house next door. The one that had been empty for 6 months. The one that had turned into a weed jungle the HOA group chat pretended not to see. The one my new neighbor had moved into 3 weeks ago. I walked to the kitchen window that looked over the shared fence and pulled the curtain aside. My yard was how I liked it. Clean lines, deep green grass, low stone walls, soft shade trees placed exactly where they should be. My company was called Arbor and Stone for a reason. I built calm, ordered spaces for people all week. My own place was supposed to be my sanctuary. Next door was not a sanctuary. Elena was in the middle of it. She shoved an old red push mower straight into a bed of decorative rocks like she wanted to punish the earth. The machine bounced, screamed, spat blue smoke, and died with a cough. She stood there holding the handle, breathing hard. She wore a fitted white t-shirt and a black skirt that made no sense for yard work. Her dark hair fell in messy waves around her face. There was a smear of grease on her wrist, and a blade of grass stuck to her knee. She did not look embarrassed. She looked mad. At the mower. At the yard. Maybe at the world. I took a long breath. I should have stayed inside. I should have put on my noise-canceling headphones and gone back to my designs. The Peterson contract was due Monday. I had numbers to check, sketches to tweak. But the HOA inspection was Monday too. And Mrs. Gable, president of the board and full-time joy killer, already hated my work truck. If Elena failed inspection, it would not just hit her. It would hit the property value of the house right next to mine. My house. I slid the patio door open and stepped into the warm morning. The air smelled like cut weeds and unburned gas. I walked to the fence. "You are going to break your foot," I called. She spun around. Up close, I could see the faint flush on her neck, sweat on her collarbone, that streak of grease on her wrist. "The mower is already broken," she said. "My foot is fine." "You are mowing rocks, Elena," I said. "Blades do not cut stone." She leaned forward on the handle, squinting at me. "I am trying to blend the edges," she said. "It is an artistic choice." "It is a noise violation," I said. "And a good way to send a blade through your ankle. And a very good way to bring Mrs. Gable over here with her clipboard." Her mouth curved into a slow, annoyed smile. "You are the most annoying neighbor," she said. "Do you know that? Always watching. Always judging." "I am a landscape architect," I said. "I do not judge nature. I judge terrible technique." Her eyes narrowed. Her smile sharpened. "You say that," she said, her voice lower. "But you never stop looking my way." The words hit harder than I wanted them to. I opened my mouth to tell her I was looking at the mess of her lawn, not her. That I did not have time for games. That I liked control, and she looked like chaos in human form. Before I could speak, tires crunched on her driveway. A silver luxury sedan rolled to a stop. Shining. Quiet. Perfect. My stomach sank even before the driver door opened. "Mrs. Gable." "Here we go," I muttered. Elena shot me a quick side look. "Friend of yours?" she whispered. "Something like that," I said. Mrs. Gable marched up the driveway, heels sharp on the concrete, clipboard tucked to her chest like a weapon. Her gray hair did not move in the breeze. Her mouth was a tight line. "Miss Torres," she called. Her voice was bright, sharp, and carried too easily. I received a report of unauthorized machinery noise before 8 a.m. Elena glanced at me. I lifted both hands. "I did not report you," I said quietly. "My mower is broken, Mrs. Gable," Elena said. She wiped her hands on her skirt. "So the noise problem is solved." "The noise is a symptom," Gable said. Her eyes moved over the yard. Patchy grass. Dandelions. Overgrown shrubs. Dead spots. "The disease is neglect." Her pen scratched across the paper. "This lawn is a disgrace to Oak Haven," she went on. "You have 48 hours to bring the property up to code, or we begin fines." They increase daily. She turned to me like a cat seeing a second mouse. "Silas," she said, "I trust you have informed your neighbor of our covenants. Or are you too busy parking that monstrosity of a truck in your driveway?" "My truck is in the garage, Mrs. Gable," I said. I kept my voice flat. "And Elena has the handbook." "Good," she said. She tore off a pink slip and held it out. Elena took it with stiff fingers. "Monday, 9 a.m. reinspection." I expect improvement. She spun on her heel and walked back to her car. The sedan slid away, leaving silence and the faint smell of exhaust. Elena stared at the pink slip. The fight faded from her face. Under the dirt and sarcasm, I finally saw it. Panic. I cannot afford a crew right now, she said softly. I used my last savings on the plumbing. If I get fined, I am done. I looked at the dead mower. I looked at the jungle of weeds. I thought about how my crew and I could fix the yard in 4 hours, maybe less. Then I thought about my own rule. Do not get involved with neighbors. Good luck, Elena, I said. I turned toward my patio door. Wait, she called. Something in her tone stopped me. Not sharp this time. Not teasing. Just raw. You have a chainsaw, right? She asked. I turned slowly. Why? I said. That is a dangerous question. There is a tree in the back, she said. It leans. It groans when the wind blows. It kind of looks like it wants to fall on your garage. Of course it did. Define lean, I said. She waved for me to follow and headed toward the side gate. I went back through my yard and met her at the property line. The back of her lot was worse than the front. Waist-high weeds. Old patio stones sinking into mud. A broken plastic chair half buried in ivy. And the tree. An old oak stood near the fence, trunk split into 2 heavy stems. The whole thing leaned toward my garage. The roots were lifting out of the ground on one side like a slow wave. You were going to climb that? I asked. I was thinking about it, she said. Cut off the heavy branch. Maybe it would sit back up. That branch is bigger than your car, I said. It is hanging over the power line. If you climb that tree, you will break your neck or light the street on fire. I am agile, she said, folding her arms. That is not the point. I stepped closer to the trunk and set my hand on the bark. The wood felt solid. The canopy was full. It was not rotten, just unbalanced. Most people would cut it down, I said. Charge you $3,000 and haul it away. And you? She asked. It does not need to die, I said. It needs a clean up in the top and a support cable so the 2 stems hold each other up instead of pulling apart. She blinked. In English, she said. In English, I said. If you touch it, you could die. If I fix it, it lives and my garage does not get crushed. How much? She asked. Market rate, about $1,200, I said. She flinched. I have 0, she said. Unless you take payment in drawings and instant noodles. I looked at her. Really looked. This was not just a neighbor with a messy yard. This was someone hanging on by a thread. And I thought about my own stupid pine cone logo. The one my foreman made fun of every week. I need a rebrand, I said. She frowned. What? My business, I said. Arbor and Stone. My logo looks like clip art. My site is a mess. You are a graphic designer. That is your job, right? Her chin lifted a little. Yes, she said. And I am very good at it. Trade, I said. I get your yard ready for gable and brace the tree. You build me a real logo, new cards, new header. Clean, professional. No pine cones. She stared at me. That is a lot of work, she said slowly. My hourly rate is higher than yours. It is fair, I said. For both of us. She stepped closer and held out her hand over the fence. Her palm was dirty, her grip strong. Deal, she said. But you have to stop looking at me like I am a chaos monster. Her hand was smaller than mine and warm, even under the dirt and grease. Stop being a chaos monster, I said, and I will stop looking. I let go and walked back toward my house, already making a list in my head. Soil, seed, mulch, cable, hardware. It was supposed to be simple. Just work for work. I had no idea how fast it was going to take over every part of my life. By Sunday morning, our simple trade had taken over my whole weekend. I backed my trailer up to Elena's curb at 8 sharp. The same neighbors who pretended not to care about anyone's business were suddenly outside walking dogs, sweeping already clean driveways, pulling one weed at a time while they watched us. I fired up my commercial mower. The deep, steady sound filled the street. Nothing like the horrible scream from her old red mower. Elena sat on her front steps with a sketchbook on her knees, bare feet on the cracked concrete, big t-shirt hanging off one shoulder. You look very serious, she called. I am fixing a crime scene, I said. I pushed the mower in long, straight lines. Tall grass fell in clean swaths. The yard started to look like it belonged in Oak Haven and not in a scary movie. I edged the walk, cut a crisp border along the flower beds, and spread seed and compost where the grass was thin. Every time I looked up, Her pencil was moving. Her eyes were on me. "Stop moving so much," she yelled over the engine. "I am trying to capture your jawline. It is very angular. It keeps changing." I killed the engine and wiped sweat with my wrist. "You are supposed to be designing a logo," I said, "not drawing my jaw." "I am studying my client," she said. "Your brand is Brooding Mountain Man, right?" "The brand is competent," I said. "You should try it sometime." She put a hand over her heart, like I had hurt her. "Wow," she said. "You are grumpy when you sweat." I went back to work, but now I was too aware of her eyes on me. I felt her watching the way I checked the sprinkler heads, the way I reset each stone along her walk. It should have been just another yard. It did not feel like that. By noon, the place looked like a different house. Short, even grass. Fresh mulch in the beds. No weeds. Clean edges instead of wild lines. It hit my pride how proud I was of it. I loaded the mower, slammed the trailer gate, and turned to go. "Silas," she called. I turned back. She stood at the bottom of the steps with 2 tall glasses of lemonade, ice sweating down the sides. "First payment," she said. "Hydration and sugar." I walked over and took the glass. Our fingers brushed. That tiny touch shot a spark right up my arm. I ignored it. Or tried to. "Mrs. Gable is going to hate that it looks this good," Elena said, looking over the yard. She wanted me to fail. "She wants control," I said. "You are new. You make too much noise. You do not fit her idea of Oak Haven." "And you?" she asked. She tilted her head, studying me. "Do I fit your idea of Oak Haven?" I looked at her. Dark hair messy from the heat. White shirt marked with grass stains. Bare feet. Eyes sharp and bright. "No," I said. "You do not." She smiled, slow and dangerous. "Do I disrupt your ecosystem, Silas?" I could have lied. I could have said no and walked away. "Yes," I said. "You do." I finished my lemonade, set the glass on her railing, and left before I did something stupid like reach out and push that loose strand of hair behind her ear. That night, I tried to work. I sat at my desk with my laptop open, but my brain kept going back to her face when Gable handed her that pink slip. That tiny moment when her shoulders dropped and she looked tired instead of angry. At 9, I gave up. I rolled my toolbox out of the garage, pushed it to the fence, and clicked on the side light. Her porch light came on almost at the same time. She stepped into her doorway in leggings and a big shirt, hair pulled up, eyes shadowed with fatigue. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Bring the mower to the fence," I said. "You are not going to take it apart and judge its personality, are you?" she asked. "I am going to fix it," I said. "So you stop trying to mow gravel." She hesitated, then dragged the old red mower across the grass, wheels rattling. Up close, it was worse than I thought. Old fuel, rust spots, the filter packed with dirt. "You have been feeding it bad gas," I said. "I have been feeding it hope," she said. "Hope does not burn," I said. I tipped the mower back and took the carb apart right there by the fence. My hands moved on their own. Clean the bowl, clear the jet, swap the filter, check the plug, sharpen the blade. For once, she was quiet. After a while, she spoke, softer than before. "I like watching you work," she said. "That is a strange hobby," I said. "It is like watching someone speak a language," she said. "You do not waste a move." "That is because mistakes hurt," I said. "And they cost money." When I was done, I primed the engine and pulled the cord. The mower coughed, then settled into a smooth hum. "You are kidding," she said. "That is witchcraft." "No," I said. "That is maintenance." She leaned on the fence, and this time her smile was small and real, not sharp. "Thank you," she said. "Monday," I reminded her. "When she comes back, let me do the talking." "Why you?" she asked. "Because she respects contracts and fines," I said. "And I speak both." The next week slipped into a strange rhythm. In the mornings, I left for job sites early, truck loaded with stone and soil. In the afternoons, if I finished near home, I would swing by and check on her yard, adjust a sprinkler, trim a branch. Many nights, when I came home, there was an email from her waiting. Logo drafts, color palettes, clean lines and bold fonts. Notes like this: "One feels too stiff," or "Your brand is calm, not boring." One evening, I pulled into my driveway and saw her in the middle of her own, dragging a huge flat cardboard box. "Stop before you break your spine," I called. "It is a bookshelf," she panted. "It weighs more than I do." I walked over, lifted it like it was nothing, and carried it inside for her. Her living room smelled like fresh paint and coffee. Art leaned against the walls. Half-open boxes sat in corners. It looked like a life that had exploded out of a moving truck and had not settled yet. "You have a drill?" I asked. "I have a screwdriver and optimism," she said. "Not enough," I said. I went back for my impact driver. 10 minutes later, the shelf stood against the wall, solid and square. "You are really handy," she said quietly. "It is just leverage and torque," I said. "No," she said. "It is care." I looked at her then. Really looked. There were faint dark circles under her eyes. Her hair was twisted up in a loose knot. Her shoulders sank when she thought I was not watching. "You are tired," I said. "Big deadline," she answered. "Big client. I have not slept much." "Go sleep," I said. "I will take the boxes out to the bins." "You do not have to," she said. "I am going that way anyway," I lied. She went down the hall. A minute later, her bedroom light went off. The house went quiet. I stood in her kitchen holding broken-down cardboard and realized how strange it felt, being trusted to move around her space while she slept. A week ago, she was just the neighbor with the weed jungle and the loud mower. Now I knew where she kept her scissors, where she stacked her mugs, the sound her hallway light switch made. Later that week, the forecast called for heavy rain. I knew her back patio sloped the wrong way. Water pooled against the foundation every time it stormed. She did not ask for help. I did not knock. I came home early, grabbed my shovel and a bag of gravel, and went straight through the side gate. I dug a narrow trench along the edge of her patio, lined it, filled it with stone, and tied it into the nearest drain. By the time I finished, my shirt was soaked with sweat and mud streaked my arms. I was packing up when the sliding door opened. She stepped out with a mug of tea. She stopped when she saw the fresh trench. "What did you do?" she asked. "Your patio had a bad slope," I said. "Water was sitting against the house. I put in a drain. The water will move away now." "Silas," she said. She stepped right into the damp dirt in her sneakers, like she did not care. She reached out and put her fingers on my forearm. "Thank you," she said. Just 2 words. Soft. Honest. They hit harder than they should have. "It is part of the trade," I said. "It is not," she said. We had pizza in her kitchen the night the rebrand was done. We sat on opposite sides of the island, a greasy box between us, 2 paper plates, my laptop open to the new Arbor and Stone logo. Simple letters. Strong and clean. A small oak shape hidden in the A, deep green and slate gray. "This is perfect," I said. "I know," she said with a small smile. We were laughing about one of Mrs. Gable's insane mass emails when someone knocked on the front door. 3 short, hard knocks. Elena frowned and wiped her hands. The hairs on my arms stood up. I did not know why yet, but I had the feeling that whatever was on the other side of that door was about to turn our simple trade into something much more complicated. Elena opened the door. A man in a cheap suit stood on the porch, holding a thick envelope. "Elena Torres?" he asked. "Yes," she said. He handed her the envelope. "You've been served," he said, and walked away without another word. My stomach dropped. I stood up from the island, pizza forgotten. Elena looked down at the papers like they were a bomb. She opened them slowly. Her eyes moved over the first page. I watched the color drain from her face. "What is it?" I asked. "It is a cease and desist," she said. Her voice was flat. "And a zoning violation notice." "From who?" I asked. "From the city," she said. She flipped to the next page. "Triggered by a complaint from the HOA." She set the stack on the counter with shaking hands. I pulled it closer and read fast. Halfway down the page, I saw my name, my plate number, dates and times. "Frequent extended presence of commercial landscaping vehicle," I read out loud. "Outside authorized service hours." I swallowed. "They think you are running a commercial yard out of your driveway," I said. "Through me. She is using you to get to me," Elena whispered. "If this sticks, I lose the house." "If this sticks," I said, my throat tight, "I get a strike on my license. I could lose contracts. I could lose Arbor and Stone." The kitchen felt smaller all at once. The new logo on the screen behind her looked stupid now, a symbol of something we might not get to keep. "We have to stop," I said. She lifted her head slowly. "Stop what?" she asked. "Me coming over," I said. "The truck here. The random jobs. Everything. At least until the hearing on Friday. We need distance. No one can say we are mixing business and home." "That is ridiculous," she snapped. "We can explain. You can show invoices." I can show my license. Reputation is everything, I said. Half this neighborhood hires me because they trust me. If they think I cheat zoning, I am done. Her face hardened like stone. So that is it, she said. You protect your business, and I stand here alone while they pick me apart with a clipboard. That is not what I said, I answered. My chest hurt. I am trying to protect both of us. No, she said. You are protecting yourself. When it gets messy, you pull back. You are just like everyone else. That hit harder than any insult. Elena, I started. She turned away and walked down the hall. Her bedroom door closed. Not a slam, just a quiet, final click. I stood there for a long second, hand on the back of a chair, then I picked up my keys and left. My house was as calm and perfect as ever. Everything in its place. For the first time since I bought it, it felt wrong. Empty in a way I could not fix with stone and trees. The next 2 days, we did not talk. I saw her car leave in the mornings. I saw the light in her office at night. I kept my truck in the garage, parked through the side door, moved like a ghost. I told myself I was doing the smart thing, the safe thing. It did not feel like it. On Wednesday evening, the sky turned a strange, dark purple. The air felt heavy, like it was waiting. A weather alert buzzed my phone. Severe storm warning. High winds. Possible damage. I checked my windows. Locked the garage. Habit. Then I looked down the street at the tall oak on the HOA easement. The one I had warned them about. The one with the big limb over the power line. This is bad, I muttered. By 8 p.m., the sky was almost black. Wind pushed hard against my windows, making the glass buzz. Rain hit sideways, turning the streetlights into hazy circles. I stood in my front room, phone in my hand, radar app open. Red and yellow shapes moved right over our neighborhood. My eyes kept going to Elena's house. Her living room light glowed behind the rain. No movement. No shadow. Just a still, warm square. I told myself that meant she was fine. Thunder cracked, so loud it shook my shelves. The big oak down the street swayed, branches whipping. The heavy limb twisted, pulled, swung back, then forward again. Come on, I said under my breath. Hold. Another gust slammed the street. All the trees bent at once. There was a deep, ugly sound then. Not thunder. Wood breaking. The power went out. The house dropped into darkness. No hum from the fridge. No heater. Just storm noise and that crack echoing in my head. I moved before I could think. I grabbed my heavy rain jacket from the hook, pulled it on, and ran to the garage. My hand went straight to the chainsaw on the wall. I checked the bar, the fuel, then headed for the back door. Rain hit me like a wall when I stepped outside. Wind shoved at my shoulders. I cut across my yard, vaulted the fence into Elena's. I ran to her back slider and hammered on the glass. Elena, I shouted. The curtain jerked back. Her face appeared in the dim glow of a small lantern. Eyes wide, hair messy, pale. She unlocked the door with shaking hands. Are you okay? I asked, grabbing her shoulders as I stepped inside. Any sparks? Any burning smell? I'm fine, she said, voice thin. But the front. I heard this crash, and I think there's a live wire out there. Do not open the front door, I said. Do not step outside. Stay back. Silas, your truck, Mrs. Gable. To hell with Mrs. Gable, I said. I turned and ran back into the storm. The front yard was a wreck. The big limb from the oak had snapped and fallen straight across Elena's driveway. Her car was half buried. The windshield was shattered. The walk to the front door was blocked. The worst was the power line. It hung low over the broken branches, hissing and sparking where it touched wet leaves. Little blue flashes danced in the rain. No truck could get close like this. No way for fire crews to reach the house if something went wrong. My throat tightened. This was exactly the kind of thing I worked to prevent. I did not have the luxury to stand and panic. I pulled the cord on the chainsaw. The engine roared to life. I stepped wide around the wire and started on the smaller branches, cutting fast and tossing them clear. Rain ran down my neck. Mud sucked at my boots. The wind pushed and pulled. Cut, drag, breathe. Cut, drag, breathe. A beam of light hit my face. Mr. Vance, a voice called over the storm. I looked up. There she was, Mrs. Gable, standing on the sidewalk under a perfect black umbrella, clipboard in hand, like this was a meeting, not an emergency. This is unauthorized activity, she shouted. You are creating further risk. Step away from the property at once. I killed the saw. The sudden drop in sound made the rain feel even louder. "There is a live power line down in this yard," I said. My voice came out calm and cold. "I have cleared a path so the utility crew can reach it. If you take one more photo or write one more note instead of calling the power company, I will file a negligence claim against this board." She blinked like she had not heard me right. "I warned you about this limb in April," I said. "I sent photos. I told you it was dangerous. I have your written reply. You did nothing. This is not an act of God. This is you ignoring your own emails." Her hand tightened on the umbrella handle. "This is not the time or place for, go inside," I said. "Now." For 1 second, we just stared at each other in the rain. Then she turned and walked away fast. I went back to work. By the time the utility truck arrived, my arms shook from effort and cold. The lineman cut the power at the pole and checked the line. Firefighters stood at the edge of the yard, watching their steps. "Nice work on the access," one of the linemen said with a nod. "Most people make it worse." "I like my neighbors alive," I said. When they left, the street was dark and strangely quiet. Just rain and distant thunder. I walked back to Elena's porch. She stood in the open door with the lantern in her hand. The light made her eyes look huge. "You are soaked," she said. "You are not," I answered. "Good." She stepped aside so I could come in. I stripped off my jacket and boots on the mat and set the chainsaw down. The house smelled like candle wax and lemon cleaner and fear cooling down. "Flashlight?" I asked. She handed me a small one from a drawer without asking why. I checked the attic access for leaks, the gas line by the water heater, the ceilings. No water. No smell. No bulges. She followed me from room to room in bare feet, quiet. When I was sure the house was safe for the night, I stopped in the hall. My clothes were still damp. My hands ached. "You are not leaving," she said. It was not a question. "I almost did," I said. "I almost stayed home and pretended I did not hear that limb go." Her throat moved. "But you did hear it," she said. "Yeah," I said. "And then I saw your driveway. That kind of killed the plan." Some of the tightness in her shoulders eased. She set the lantern on the console table. The small circle of light made the hall feel close and private. "I was mad at you," she said, "when you pulled back after the notice. I felt like you threw me to the wolves." "I was scared," I said. "About my business. My license. Losing everything I built. When things get messy, I try to control the damage. That usually means I pull away." Her gaze dropped to my hands. My knuckles were scraped. My fingers still shook a little from the chainsaw. "You came anyway," she said. Her voice was soft now. "You came running." "I am good in emergencies," I said. "Real ones." She stepped closer. Her fingers brushed my wrist. Not by accident. Not nervous. Just simple and sure. "Tomorrow at the hearing," she said, eyes on my hand. "They will make it about your truck and about me and about us. Julian will circle like a shark. Then we do not let them choose the story," I said. "We make it about the tree. About safety. About the fact that they did nothing when they were warned." Her eyes met mine. For the first time since we met, we were fully on the same side of something bigger than grass and logos. "Okay," she whispered. "We do it your way." She slid her hand down my arm and laced her fingers through mine. "No half step. No hiding." "You are freezing," she said. "You are warm," I answered. She let out a small breath that sounded a little like a laugh and a little like a sigh. "I do not want to do this alone," she said. "You are not," I said. I let go of her hand only so I could cup her jaw. Her skin was cool and soft under my palm. Her eyes searched my face like she was reading every part of me. "This is a bad time," I said quietly. "Storm. Lawsuit. Power out. It is the only true time we have had," she said. Everything else was pretending. We stood there in the narrow hall, the house humming with leftover storm energy, the lantern buzzing softly. I leaned in slow, giving her time to pull back. She did the opposite. She rose on her toes and met me halfway, fingers twisting in my damp shirt. The kiss was not smooth or practiced. It was a mix of fear and relief and something that had been building since the first morning she tried to mow rocks at 7 a.m. I kept it steady and clean. No rush. No grab. Just a clear promise I did not know how to say any other way. When we pulled back, she rested her forehead on my chest. I felt her breathing fast at first, then slower, matching mine. "Coffee at 6?" she murmured. "Strong," I said. "Black." "I know," she said. Listen." She picked up the lantern and nodded toward the guest room. You can take the spare bed, she said. If you leave now, the tree was just an accident. If you stay, it was a choice. I am staying, I said. Good, she whispered. She moved down the hall, the light bobbing with her steps. I stood there for a long second, feeling wet and tired and more awake than I had in years. That night, I lay in the dark of her guest room, listening to the quiet house and the soft drip of water outside. I should have been planning what to say to the board. Instead, all I could see was the way she looked at me in the hall. Not like the annoying neighbor, like something else. In the morning, when I walked into her kitchen, the power was still out, but there were 2 mugs on the counter. One already filled. Black. No sugar. She slid it toward me. Ready? She asked. For the HOA? I said. Or for whatever this is. Both, she said. I took a long drink, felt the heat burn down my throat, and nodded. Yeah, I said. Let's go make some noise. The Oak Haven Community Center always smelled the same. Old coffee, dust, cheap carpet. By 6:30 that evening, every folding chair was full. Neighbors, bored spouses, people pretending they were only there for the free cookies. No one was really pretending. The HOA board sat at a long plastic table in the front. Name cards, plastic water cups, little fake plants. Mrs. Gable was in the middle with her clipboard like a judge. On her right was Julian, the vice chair, in a tight tie and tighter jaw. On her left were 2 board members who looked tired already. Elena and I sat in the second row. I could hear whispers behind us. That is him. The truck guy. She is the new girl. I heard zoning violation. I felt Elena's arm brush mine as she shifted. You okay? I asked under my breath. No, she said. But I am ready. The meeting started with boring stuff. Budget. Pool repairs. Someone complaining about teens at the playground. My heart knocked harder with every minute. Then Gable cleared her throat. Next item, she said. Zoning compliance and vehicle violations regarding Lot 14 and Lot 15. All eyes turned to us. Mr. Vance. Miss Torres, she said. Please come forward. We stood and walked to the front. I could feel all the eyes on my back. I set my folder on the table. Elena set hers beside mine. Gable picked up her paper. We have documented repeated instances of a commercial landscaping truck, she read. Plate RB 882 parked in front of Miss Torres's home during non-service hours. In addition, photographic evidence suggests operation of a business out of a residential property in violation of Oak Haven covenants. She looked up at me, like she had already won. We take these matters seriously, she said. For the good of the community. I took a breath. Before we talk about my truck, I said, we are going to talk about your tree. A low murmur moved through the room. That is not on the agenda, Julian said quickly. We are here to discuss safety and rules, I said. Both words are at the top of your agenda. I opened my folder and took out a thin stack of papers. In April, I said, I sent an email to the HOA address about the large oak on the easement by Lot 12. These are the photos from that email. I handed copies to the 2 quiet board members first, not to Gable. They took them and leaned in. In the pictures, you can see the soil lifting on one side, the roots pulling up, a heavy limb over the main power line, I said. In that email, I wrote that the tree was dangerous. I told you to call the city or an arborist. I slid the last page toward Gable. And this is your reply? I said. You wrote, the board will review. Then nothing happened. One of the men with glasses frowned down at the page. He looked like he had not seen it before. And last night, I went on. During the storm, that limb broke. It brought down the power line and blocked Miss Torres's only safe way out. There was live power and standing water in front of her door. That was not just a mess. That was a life risk. The room went quiet. The air felt thick. You want to talk about my truck? I said. Fine. But first we tell the whole story. Not just the part that makes us look bad and you look clean. I turned a little so more of the room could see my face. I run a licensed business, I said. Arbor and Stone. My insurance and bond papers are in that folder. I park my truck in my driveway. I keep my tools inside. Sometimes, yes, I bring my truck here to help my neighbor with her lawn and her drainage. That work was under a written trade for her design services. Not a secret yard business. Not a depot. Just 2 people helping each other. Right on cue, Elena stepped up. She set her file down. My business license, she said. Her voice shook a little on the first word, then steadied. I am a graphic designer. I work from home. That is allowed under the city rules. These are my invoices for the rebrand work I did for Arbor and Stone. Dated. Itemized. Taxes included. She lifted her chin. There is no hidden office here, she said. There is me, trying to hold on to my house. And a neighbor who decided not to watch me fail. Something tightened in my chest. Gable's lips pressed into a thin line. This does not change the fact that it changes a lot, the man with glasses cut in. It was the first time he had spoken all night. You sat on a safety issue and then filed a complaint against the man who cleared the branch. It is more complex than that, Gable snapped. It is not, he said. I was there last night. My wife almost walked into that yard before the crew came. If he had not cut that path, we would not have been able to get to the wire. A woman near the back lifted her hand halfway. I do not love the truck, she said. It is big. It is loud at 6 sometimes. But when my maple split last winter, he came over and helped me tarp it so it did not crush my porch. He did not send a bill. He did not call the city. Another neighbor spoke up. He edged my sidewalk for free, she said. Said he could not leave it crooked. Murmurs rose. Faces turned from us to the board and back again. For once, it did not feel like we were the only ones on trial. Gable looked like she wanted to burn a hole in the table. Regardless of personal stories, she said, stress in every word. The rules about commercial vehicles are clear. We cannot allow. I slid one more paper toward her. This is from the city zoning office, I said. I asked for a written answer this morning. I tapped the page. It says a single commercial vehicle under 10,000 pounds, used by a resident for work, is allowed to be parked in a driveway if it is registered and insured. Mine is both. I highlighted the line for you. She looked down. I watched the pink rise in her cheeks as she read. And, I added, if the board wants to push this, I will attach that same letter to a negligence complaint about the oak. With the photos. With your old email. Her eyes snapped up. You would not, she said. I would, I said. Because unlike that tree, you have now been warned twice. The room went very quiet. No whispers this time. Just the faint hum of the old air unit and someone shifting in a chair. The man with glasses cleared his throat. I move that we withdraw the zoning complaint against Miss Torres, he said, and the vehicle violation against Mr. Vance. I second, the other quiet board member said before Gable could speak. All in favor? He asked. Hands went up around the table. All except hers. Opposed? He said. Only Gable kept her hand down. The motion carries, he said. Complaints withdrawn. The hit of Gable's gavel on the table was too hard. Fine, she said. Withdrawn. But any future noise or yard issues will be handled like anyone else's. Elena spoke up then, voice soft but clear. That is all we ever wanted, she said. To be treated like anyone else. Gable looked at her. If looks could file fines, we would have been buried. You have made powerful enemies, Miss Torres, she said. Elena smiled, a small crooked smile. I sleep better near a live oak, she said, than under a live wire no one wants to admit they ignored. We walked out together under the glowing exit sign. Outside, the air smelled clean and damp. The sky was clear again. The storm was only a memory. Well, Elena said, letting out a long breath. That was fun. You were good, I said. You were terrifying, she said. In your serious voice, saying root plate like a threat. My tree voice, I said. Yes, she said. Your tree voice. People walked past us to their cars. Some nodded. Some looked away, embarrassed they had ever believed the worst. The world kept moving. But under the street lamp, in that little pool of yellow light, it felt like everything was new. You did not have to put your name on that, she said. You could have stayed quiet. Protected your business. Let me take the hit. Yeah, I said. I could have. She watched me. Her eyes were dark and steady. Why didn't you? She asked. I thought of 100 safe answers. Business image. Future clients. Good neighbor points. None of them were true. Because I am tired of watching things fall when I know how to brace them, I said. Trees. Houses. People. My voice felt thick, but I kept going. And because you are not just the neighbor with the bad lawn anymore. Her throat moved. Her lashes dipped and rose. You said I was the most annoying neighbor, she whispered. You were, I said. You still are. She huffed a wet little laugh. Wow, she said. You really know how to talk to a girl. And you were right, I added. About what? She asked. I met her eyes. About me staring, I said. I was not just looking at your yard. Her smile faded into something softer. Yeah, she said. I noticed. I stepped closer. So close I could see the tiny drops of light in her eyes from the street lamp. The buzz under my skin felt like the air near that downed wire last night. Only this was a good kind of danger. Elena, I said, I am looking your way now, and I am not doing it for the HOA. Everyone is watching, she murmured. There was a little smile at the corner of her mouth. Let them, I said. She hooked 2 fingers into the front of my shirt and gave a small, clear pull. No doubt. No mix of signals. I bent my head and kissed her. There was no storm roaring this time. No fear. No chainsaw. Just the soft sound of her breath, her hand flat on my chest, my arm around her waist pulling her closer. She still held that thin file of HOA papers in her other hand, pressed between us like proof of the fight we had already gone through. When we pulled back, she stayed close, looking up at me. Your place or mine? She asked. She tried to make it sound light, but her eyes were serious. Mine has better trees, I said. Mine has better coffee, she shot back. Trade? I asked. Trade, she said. Weeks passed. The city cut down the bad oak and planted small new trees along the easement. Straight, spaced right, room to grow. I helped them plan the layout. No one argued. Our rhythm changed, but not really. I still left early with my truck full of tools. She still worked odd hours on her laptop, bare feet on her porch, hair up, music low. Only now, some mornings there were 2 mugs on her step. One black for me, one sweet for her. Only now, some nights my truck stayed parked between our houses. Not hidden, not a problem, just home. One evening, I was cleaning tools in my yard when the side gate squeaked. Elena came in wearing jeans and an oversized hoodie that I was pretty sure used to be mine. She held an envelope in her hand. You got mail, she said. That is my address, I said. Yes, she said. It got slid under my door by mistake. Or on purpose. I think Gable is still mad. I took the envelope. It was from the city license office. For a second, my chest clenched. I opened it. Then I let out a breath I did not know I was holding. Well, she asked. Renewal approved, I said. No notes. No flags. Her shoulders dropped. Good, she said. I need arbor and stone. I have a very stubborn backyard that refuses to behave. Your yard or you? I asked. She stepped closer and caught my hoodie in her fingers. Both, she said. I slid my arm around her waist and pulled her against me. It felt easy now, the way her body fit into mine, like something that had been waiting to lock in place. We did this backwards, she said into my chest. Most people flirt, then kiss, then fight, then maybe go to war with their HOA. We are efficient, I said. She tilted her head back to look at me. You still think I am the most annoying neighbor? She asked. Yes, I said. She gave me a fake shocked look. You were supposed to say no, she said. You were supposed to say something sweet. You are loud, I said. You mow rocks. You leave boxes in the rain. You forget to eat when you are stressed. You track chaos like glitter. She blinked, then laughed. But, I added, brushing her hair back from her face, you make my truck look less like a monster and more like part of a life. You draw my trees better than any photo. You put coffee by my plans before I even know I am going to need it. I took a slow breath. And yeah, I said, I still cannot stop looking your way, even when I try. Her eyes softened in a way that hit me right in the chest. Okay, she whispered. That was sweet. I am learning, I said. She tugged my shirt again. Come on, annoying neighbor, she said. I made real dinner. No takeout. If you are lucky, I will show you the new mock-up for your truck. I want to see it with the logo on the door. Do I look different? I asked as we walked toward her door. Yes, she said. You look like you finally know you are not alone on this street. I followed her inside. The storm was gone. The wires were fixed. The HOA had moved on to someone else's mailbox color. But my eyes stayed where they always wanted to be now. On the woman who once called me the most annoying neighbor she ever had. The one who was absolutely right when she said I stared too much. I was staring at her yard. At her problems. At her trouble. What I did not realize then was simple. I was already staring at my future.
If this story stays with your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Thank you.